Ladies and gentlemen, I am here and I apologize. I am a few minutes late, but putting these things together are really, really difficult. If you are here because you probably want to see who my 24 is that's going to enter my FCS playoff bracket. This is the first time that I'll do this. I'll do this 4 times. Um, this year where I put together the FCS playoff bracket based off of where teams are right now. So I thank you for joining me, whether you're joining me on YouTube or on Twitter or on Facebook, wherever you might be joining me right now. I am happy that you are joining me. Hopefully you are enjoying your weekend and you are getting ready for a fantastic NFL slate. Make sure that if you are in the New York area that you check out some of my pieces on the Giants from last week. Make sure that you check out some of my pieces coming up here in the future from the Giants. If you are an FCS or excuse me, if you're a Group of Five fan, those non-Power Five teams. If you're a Group of Five fan, FBS, make sure you check out my my FBS Group of Five betting column that's on The Athletic right now. In every Wednesday when it drops, I have not been doing great. It's been some definite turmoil in the Group of Five, and so every week is an opportunity for a new beginning, to start a new streak. And so I'm really looking forward to this next week in order to try to get that off. But I want to start it by looking at some of our teams, but I want to start at the top. I want to look at the top 8, and I won't keep you in suspense for long. I'm going to show you what my top 8 looks like as of right now. And this is strictly based on what I know about the process, how I think it'll play out, and then ultimately what we'll be dealing with when we come over to the beginning. First off, number 1 for me, and where's my screen being shared at? Boom, there we go. Let's put the full screen up here. So number 1 for me is going to be Sam Houston. I don't understand how you can be the defending champion literally a few months ago, unlike normal seasons. I don't understand how you can be the champion a few months ago and then all of a sudden people think that you not be worthy of being the number 1 team when you have all of your people back. To me, it's a no-brainer. If you have all your people back and you were just the champion, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be number 1 in this thing going forward. So let's look at it. Let me get this out of the way. So Sam Houston's number 1 for me. Number 2 is the number 2 team from the spring, South Dakota State. Now, I am a little concerned that they lost their running back Davis, but they have so much depth at that position that they've been able to absorb that with relative ease. And so I don't foresee that being an issue. And as long as he's progressing towards maybe there's a chance he comes back by the end of the season in time for the playoffs. If not, I think they have enough in there to be able to carry the load without him. So to me, South Dakota State should be number 2. Number 3, Montana. Now, Montana has had the most impressive defense of any of these teams, especially because when you consider who they beat, and how they beat them, it's kind of hard to argue that they've had the most impressive defense this season. So that's my number 3 pick. Number four right now is James Madison. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you got James Madison number 4. They should be higher. That's a bias. And I'm like, no, it's not a bias. It's just that to me, James Madison has played the weakest schedule. And will end up playing the weakest schedule of all of these teams, especially once we get hardcore into conference play. Anybody in the Missouri Valley, they have their hands full this year. North Dakota State is for real. South Dakota State is for real. North Dakota is for real. Southern Illinois is for real. They just Missouri State's no pushover. It's going to be hard in the Missouri Valley Conference, and in the Big Sky, you have teams like Montana, Eastern Washington, UC Davis, Weber, who just lost, but they're still going to be a factor. Montana State. So lots of people to go through, and then Sam will have to go. Already has gone through UCA, and will have to go through some other good quality programs. I think Jacksonville State they had to go to, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, in that new AQ7 for this year. So it'll be an interesting road to hoe for Sam Houston State as well. But James Madison comes in at 4th. Number 5, so they will eventually be on a collision course with James Madison, is North Dakota State. North Dakota State, who I had preseason as my number 1 team. I thought they had a chance to run the table, and they still have an opportunity to run the table. So I think North Dakota State is worthy of the 5th seed. And there's going to be not a dark horse, but it's going to be a factor. Like, I can see them ending up against Sam Houston in the semifinal. Number 6 is Eastern Washington. Eric Berrier, my odds-on favorite, my favorite to win the Walter Payton Award, had another fantastic night last night. They have a team who, while I think they're flawed, they can get on the run and they can score with anybody. And when you can score with anybody in today's football, you have a chance. But they're going to have a tough opponent because they're going to have to rematch in the Final Four with Montana if both teams run the table. And that's going to be a tough out for Eastern Washington. Number 7 is UC Davis. Now, this is probably going to change because between Montana and Eastern Washington and UC Davis, they're going to essentially play each other and knock each other off. But I think the way they're all playing right now, not only do I think that Montana wins the Big Sky, as of right now, I think that Montana wins the Big Sky. They beat Eastern Washington, so they'll give Eastern Washington a loss. Eastern Washington will beat UC Davis, so they'll give UC Davis a loss. But even with those losses, UC Davis' strength it has a chance to still put them up in the top with those 2 losses, because those are 2 losses to really quality programs. Now, I mean, it could be a situation where they drop down and now they're into the play-in week. But right now, we need to give them their flowers. Number 8 is ETSU, East Tennessee State. Yes, East Tennessee State is number 1 because is number 8 because they have won and they have beaten legitimate teams. That's how it goes. If you beat legitimate teams, then you get put up higher than normal. So ETSU, number 8. Now, once we start getting out of the top 8, that's where it gets really tricky, because we're talking into those are the 8 teams that'll get a bye. So now we're talking about the teams who will play on week 1, and then that's where we have to start considering these other 16 teams and how things will shake out based off of who wins the conference title and who doesn't. And that's where I think that's where for me it got really, really interesting, really, really tricky, because I was looking at some of these teams and I'm like, okay, who gets automatic bids? I think the Northeast Conference gets an automatic bid. That means that they're going to have a team that goes in there and becomes a sacrificial lamb for somebody. The Pioneer League, I believe, gets an automatic bid, so they're going to go in and be a sacrificial lamb for somebody. The Patriot League, the Patriot League gets a automatic bid, and so the Patriot League will go in and be a sacrificial lamb for somebody. And if you think that I'm being disrespectful towards those leagues, that's cool, but at the end of the day, they haven't looked good this year. Like, neither of those leagues have looked as if they have a chance to give anybody any trouble in the playoffs. And so they all have to be factored in, but they have to be factored in a way where now this is where teams are going to start getting left out that people think have or should be in the playoffs. And that's where it gets tricky for the I think that's where it gets tricky for the selection committee. Now, far be it from me to give any love to the selection committee, because I think sometimes they just miss, they whiff on order, they whiff on placement, and this is their job. This isn't just some dude that's doing it in his spare time. This is supposed to be what they do, like what they set themselves up to do all season. So for them to swing and miss like they swing and miss sometimes is really, really disconcerting. And something that I believe definitely needs to be addressed when it comes to how they go about their business. So if I'm going top down, I'm saying that the number 9 team has to then go against. Let me get my bracket back up here heavy. Okay. So the number 9 team, if they get beyond the next round, then they get to go against the number 18. So this would be the team that would be going against ETSU. And so get over to the spreadsheet, excuse me. There we go. So right now, if I'm a betting man, I'm thinking Southern Illinois that's SIU, will be going up against, most likely, Bryant out of the Northeast Conference. And the winner of that will play ETSU in the second round. That's a tough break for ETSU, because SIU is a quality program, but that's how it goes. All of these programs are quality once you get into the tournament. Now, North Dakota is right now coming in at my number 10 team. And as such, they'll be going up against UC Davis. That would be a fun matchup. But first, they're going to have to get through Davidson, who I think will come out of the Pioneer League. So North Dakota will play Davidson out of the Pioneer League. Eastern Washington will have their hands full because most likely they're going to see Villanova, who will go against probably Jackson State or Alabama A&M, but I believe that Jackson State will be able to win that matchup based off of defense. Nova better be on upset alert on Jackson State. That defense is for real, and that defense has a chance to take them very far if the offense can keep things together for them. So Nova hosting Jackson State in the first round. Number 5, North Dakota State will most likely draw Montana State. And Montana State will play in the first round Holy Cross. Holy Cross, a team that's been impressive at times this year, has also been a team that has found a way to underachieve. So definitely something to look at, something to consider as we go on. But like I said, right now, we want to make sure that we're giving them their flowers for what they've done. Number 4 seed, James Madison, will likely draw a very interesting matchup versus Southeast Louisiana. And Southeast Louisiana will probably end up drawing. Where's my list at? That's why I tell you things get a little tricky when you start looking through. They'll probably end up drawing the winners of the Ohio Valley Conference, Austin Peay. Which, like I said, Southeast Louisiana versus Austin Peay. That's a fun matchup. That is a very fun matchup. And one that can't be taken lightly. I think Southeast Louisiana has a chance to move up. I think they could be. I could make an argument for them to be above Nova, possibly. I could make an argument for them to be above Montana State, but at this point, when you start getting into the minutia of these conferences, it really is just, you're splitting hairs. And so, at that point, what are you doing, right? So, for me, I'm just looking at it and going, okay, well, we'll just take it, team by team. Actually, I think I forgot someone that should have came up earlier. Let me make an adjustment really quick. Sorry. Nova would not play Jackson State. Nova would play Norfolk State. Out of the MEAC. And Southeastern Louisiana would play would play Jackson State. Delaware, who would come in over here. Delaware would play, let me make sure I have it right. Delaware. Yep. Delaware let's put UD there. That's the University of Delaware, not Dayton. Actually, I just thought about that. Let me not put UD there. Delaware would get the Big South champion, which as of right now looks like it could have a good chance of being Gardner Webb, who's played probably the best consistently out of all of those teams. But again, that's definitely a conference that we'll be looking for going forward to see how they continue to progress. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing a team that I'm supposed to have somewhere, but don't. Okay. So in the number 2, we'll have Northern Iowa versus UT Martin, who just beat Jacksonville State. Excuse me. And then can't really bring them down too much because, they lost by 70, although that wasn't a good look. They did lose to a legitimate ACC team and one who has a chance to win the ACC title this year. So New Hampshire, not New Hampstead. New Hampshire will get that final matchup, and they will take on I am looking into my crystal ball as I'm just looking through my notes to see, because if they end up on a collision course, it'll probably end up being Missouri State. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The first look at my bracket. Sam Houston, number 1. South Dakota State, number 2. Montana, number 3. James Madison, number 4. North Dakota State, 5. Eastern Washington, 6. UC Davis, 7. East Tennessee State University, 8. Number 9, SIU, who will take on Bryant in the first round. Number 10, North Dakota will take on Davidson in the first round. Number 11, Montana State takes on Holy Cross in the first round. Number 12, Villanova taking on Norfolk State. Number 13, Southeast Louisiana taking on Jacksonville State. Number 14, Delaware taking on Gardner-Webb. 15, Northern Iowa taking on UT Martin. And 16, New Hampshire taking on Missouri State. Those ought to be some really good first-round matchups, that I'll be really interested in watching happen. Do I expect the next time I do this in the next, 3 or 4 weeks when teams have played, 6 or 7 games or half of their schedule, do I expect this to look anything like it looks now? Yeah, the top 8 will probably look the same, or most likely the same, or somewhere kind of sort of the same. The top 4, I'm pretty comfortable in saying will be the same. The order of the top 4 might change, but it's really interesting to sit down and put yourself in the position of the group and see exactly what makes it shake out the way it shakes out. So this is a great opportunity to do that. I appreciate all of you joining me. Make sure that if you are on my YouTube channel that you like and subscribe. I have a passion for the FCS, as many of you who are FCS fans know. I covered the FCS heavy in the spring. And just unfortunately, as things happen, I'm not getting the same opportunity to cover the FCS like I did in the spring. And so I'm going to be doing more exclusive FCS content on my YouTube channel in order to really continue to bring that quality coverage and the quality journalism that I was bringing when I was writing those stories for The Athletic. So please, if you read my stuff on The Athletic, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agreed or disagreed, come and like and dislike, agree and disagree here with me on my YouTube channel. I'll be doing something weekly for sure. You'll be joining me in another few weeks to do another one of these and look at our second FCS playoff bracket prediction. But until next time, I've been Coach Gene Clemens. Y'all have a fantastic afternoon. Enjoy the NFL football.